the latest news from across non-league football. Online at backofthenetsouth.co.uk and broadcasting live on YouTube, Twitter and Facebook. This is Back of the Net News.
Here are the latest news stories at 7 o'clock. Hartlepool United have announced that Raj Singh has now formally completed his takeover of the club. Mr Singh, along the club's honorary president Jess Stelling, have been in talks with the previous owner over the last 3 months, and a deal to take the reins has now been approved by the Football Association. There are increased fears that Dagenham and Redbridge may not make it to next season after director Glyn Hopkins' funding ceased. Managing Director Steve Thompson has said that the situation is quite dire and Dagenham could possibly run out of money in the next couple of months. A parish council has responded to North Ferriby United owner Jamie Waltham's plan to open the pitch to travellers by planting concrete bollards at the gates. North Ferriby Parish Council have said that they have had no alternative but to dump the large bollards at the gate at North Ferriby United's ground after the club's owner said he wanted to use it as a travellers' site to boost revenue. Harrogate Town have been given the green light for the redevelopment of their Wetherby Road ground, adding new facilities and almost doubling the capacity. The development will see the club's aim of eventually securing promotion to the Football League. And finally, boss Lee Sinnott admitted that there will be changes at Gainsborough Trinity after their relegation from the National League North was confirmed. Trinity, who in their 145-year history have never been promoted or relegated. They dropped out of the league after seeing a 2-goal lead slip away in a 3-2 defeat away at Telford. That's the latest news stories. I'm James Cummins.
It's 7 p.m. on Wednesday evening. It's time for the biggest non-league football debate in the country. Search official BOTN and get involved with tonight's show.
So a very good evening and welcome back to another episode of Back of the Net. We've had a week away from this studio. I hope you enjoyed the music show last week. And tonight we're all about the Bostik Leagues and non-league football once again. We're represented at each of the divisions tonight, the North, the South and the Premier League. Delighted to say that Darren Freeman, Jodie Brown, Hayden Bird and Curtis Foster join myself, James Cummins and Adam in the studio this evening. Plenty to talk about, being the end of the season, almost the end. One more weekend left and still a lot to be decided, especially for a couple of our guests in the studio tonight. We look ahead to the final weekend of the season and to the playoffs as well. And as always, we'd love to get your thoughts onto the show tonight between now and 9 o'clock.
Have your say. Get in touch on social media. Just search official BOTN.
So a very good evening and welcome to the show. Before we start the show officially, I just want to ask you about the news story of North Ferriby United, because I could see the eyes of some of our panellists tonight light up and think, what an ingenious way of increasing revenue. You think you're going to let some travellers on the pitch, Hayden, at Merstham?
No.
A bizarre story, James.
It's an odd one. I don't think I've ever heard of any club wishing to open their ground up to travellers. I don't know whether that's like just a random ploy or it may be an ingenious way of gaining some extra capital during the closed season. But yeah, very, very odd news story coming from North Ferriby.
We'll keep our eyes on that. Very good evening to all of you in the studio tonight. Delighted to have you here. And Darren, it's your first appearance on the show ever. So welcome.
Thanks. I always say I had a radio face.
And you come on in great circumstances, obviously promoted. And I did mention before the show, I said that we're reviewing the season, but of course for you, it's still much to play for in the last weekend.
Yeah, obviously we've got a big game Saturday, and it's right to the last game. It's over us or Cole Shorten, so hopefully it'll be ourselves, and we're looking forward to the game.
And Jodie, I say it's the end of the season, but I think your team are playing to August 2019, aren't they?
Yeah, it could be that way. It's been a tough 6 weeks playing 3 games a week, but we've got ourselves in the mix now.
And obviously a vital week for you. We look ahead to the playoffs and we'll talk all about that as the show goes on. But this is why you're in football and why you do the job that you do.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, don't only do it to get in the playoffs. There's lots of reasons why you do it, but we've given ourselves a chance even of the automatic promotion place with a win last night. So if things go our way, we could sneak up in second place, but we're planning for the playoffs.
Let's start by talking about the Bostik Premier Division, and massive congratulations, of course, to everybody involved at Billericay Town Football Club. Hayden, we said at the beginning of the season, everybody said that they would walk the league and they'd be the champions. They are the champions, but perhaps not quite as straightforward as we thought it was going to be.
No, it certainly hasn't been. Whenever the team wins the league, they deserve immense credit. Billericay are no different. People will always point towards their financial strength, but nonetheless, you still have to organise a team, to recruit the correct players, to work together. There's loads of examples that we can all offer of clubs that have had a lot of money but haven't managed to get their club over the line. I think it's a credit to the league that they haven't run away with it, and particularly to Dulwich Hamlet, who have pushed them all of the way. But ultimately, Glenn, Harry and his team are the league champions, and they deserve our congratulations and immense credit for that.
Yeah, James, it's been a fascinating season in the Premier Division, especially over the last couple of months, because there was a point where the 5 defeats in a row, albeit in cup competitions, that we thought maybe just wavering a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. It's full credit, like what Hayden's just said, to Glenn, to Harry, to everybody at Billericay Town. It must have taken a lot of mental strength to bring a team back from 5 defeats, which could have potentially knocked any club in that position, but fair play to them for getting back into a strong position, winning the title last night. But of course, we're much looking forward to the playoff matches coming the end of the season. It's still all to play for at the moment, and it's definitely going to be exciting going into those playoff games at the end of the season.
Darren, I know you've obviously been really busy all season and had a tremendous season yourselves. Do you pay much attention to the Premier Division, what's been going on at Billericay? Does everybody get sucked in just because of the magnitude of what perhaps Glenn Tamplin has brought to the league this season?
Well, I think fair play to Glenn and like you're saying, Hayden, you know, they've got players in there who obviously are on a lot of money. They haven't had it all their own way, but I think they've showed great character with the 5 defeats. Jake Robinson's gone there, and again he's proved to be unbelievable. He's scored plenty of goals, and fair play to them. But like you say as well, you've got Dulwich, and I think that Folkestone should have a mention, because they've had to get a lot of players in and regroup, and I think he's done a tremendous job there. So it looks like a very interesting league, and some certainly big games in the playoffs.
Curtis, obviously not involved in the Bostik leagues, but from your standpoint in football, when you look at teams like Billericay, they've done a job to draw in new fans and new interest, certainly across the leagues this season.
Yeah, I mean, I find it really interesting, and obviously since I've started coming on this show, I have tried to kind of keep an eye on those kind of leagues and that level, and I do find it really intriguing. Like I said, looking at teams like Billericay, and I think we're all just kind of looking at the budget that they're spending and what's kind of going on down there. I mean, a lot of people just focus on the amount of money they've spent on players and stuff, but there are things that he is trying to do down there, and Glenn and the club, and it's kind of interesting seeing what they're doing to kind of bring money in, and that's the kind of stuff I'm finding interesting. But yeah, it's certainly one that I've kept an eye on, and I was asking the guys before a few questions about Billericay, and yeah, it was interesting to see that they had that little wobble, didn't they, a few weeks ago, and yeah, like you said, it was a credit to the league that people kept them on their toes and they had to work for it in the end. Just
looking at the goal scorers, Jody, in the division, we talk about Billericay and the money that they spent, and I think 27,000 was spoken about for a defender at one point this season. They've certainly brought players in from a high level all around the team, but when you look at it, Jake Robinson, second top goal scorer, 34 goals, still comes down to that old cliche: if you've got a goal scorer that can get you 30 plus, then you're likely going to be promoted.
Yeah, if you've got 5 goal scorers that can get you 30 plus, you'll definitely get promoted. And that's the case with Billericay, really. If Jake's not scoring goals, Cunnington is. If Cunnington isn't, Bricknell's coming off the bench and scoring a 20-minute hat-trick. And that's the strength of their side. I know they've got some great defenders, and we were speaking about Sam Deere in it earlier in midfield. But when you've just got that goal power, you're very, very hard to beat. And that's probably why they've won so many games, like in the 85th, 86th, 87th minute, bringing players off the bench of that calibre.
You mentioned Sam Deering. It's really interesting. We did a live stream of their game last week against Dorking Wanderers, Hayden. James, you were there as part of the commentary team, and we discussed on the night that Jake Robinson, 34 goals. You mentioned Adam Cunnington as well, but Sam Deering, player of the season, fair to say, across this league. And Hayden, you mentioned at the time, far too good really for the Bostik Premier Division. Without
a shadow of a doubt, I think Sam could play in the National League. The boy has quality. The boy not only has quality, but he has a great attitude, a mental strength, whereby in that game, as an example, he was the go-to man. It was a must-win game for Billericay. It was tight. I think with 11 minutes to go, they found the winning goal. But it was Deering that was probing all of the time to make sure that he was dragging his teammates forward to get that result. Ultimately, a little bit of magic, and Baptiste, I think it was, won the game for them. But he was definitely the standout player in an outstanding squad.
A little bit earlier on, I caught up with Harry Wheeler after what was an amazing night for not only the club but him as well, having been there all season and taken the reins in the last 13 games. And here's what Harry had to say.
Yeah, relieving. It was a brilliant night, and the atmosphere was excellent. To be fair, great crowd, and I was just really pleased for the players to get it over the line. They deserve that. It's been tough at times, but it was really pleasing.
Yeah, you mentioned it's been tough at times. It's been a hell of a roller coaster. Was there a lot of relief last night when it was finally over the line?
Yeah, a lot of relief. It probably makes it sweeter in a way. If something's all smooth riding, like people predicted it to be, it probably isn't such as a big achievement. But it was definitely a big relief at the end. That's probably the first thing. And then after that, it's a realisation of how well they've done, and whatever you've got treble-wise, people can't take that away from you. So it was a real sort of good sense of achievement.
Was there ever a point during this season where when you went through that bad patch, where you really doubted whether it was going to happen for you this year in the league? I never doubted that the players could do it and they were good enough. I think there was a point mentally where I think they needed a lot of work. And so at that point, I knew there was a lot of work to do, and it could go either way. And luckily, it went the right way in the end, and we managed to turn that around, their mentality. But there was a point where they were probably one in a great place, and we had to, shift the balance. And luckily, we did that. And the experienced players we saw over the last few weeks, the performances which the likes of Deering have put in, has really shown why you brought them into the club.
Yeah, especially with the amount of games. I think they showed an experience in terms of not just on the pitch, but how to manage their bodies. They're good professionals, they took care of themselves and were honest when they needed to be. And it was the experience of making the ball do the work in some of the games where we knew we were playing again in less than 48 hours if it was a Thursday to a Saturday. And that kind of playing smartly, we call it, and a lot of them played very smart to sort of get through that busy period.
Now that the release happened, you've celebrated, and I'm sure you're still going to celebrate across the weekend. What's in store next? Moving up a division, I guess, means a lot more work, and we will start again in the summer.
Yeah, a lot more work. I'm one of them people, I sort of look ahead straight away, and I sort of already have things in my mind and in my head. Obviously, we need to get Saturday out of the way, and that'll be a very enjoyable day, and probably the first game I've enjoyed in a while. But, it'll be, we're already thinking ahead. But, of course, it's going to be a tough league next year, that league. Going up, there's a lot of teams, strong teams going into that division. So we're going to have to, I think the squad's good enough, whether, budget allows that or any changes. We'll be a few maybe coming in and going out. But the majority of it, I'm going to do my best to try and keep hold of and see what happens, really. But, yeah, there's going to be a lot of work to do.
And next season, will it be you taking the club forward? Is Glenn still going to be managing? How is that going to work next year?
It will be, from what I've been told, as it was for the last, sort of 13 games. It'll be as me in charge and taking it, and Glenn's keeping his role as the owner, and going from there. So I think that's how it's going to be set, and that's what I've been told. So yeah, it looks like it all, as we finished it, that's how it will continue.
Yeah, it was obviously really interesting speaking to Harry earlier on, and he mentioned that change, Hayden, that happened 13 games or so ago, where he's really taken the reins and he's done the job.
He's done ever so well. I think Billericay's achievements, what we must all remember is that they really were the team to beat. Everybody that wins the league, whichever league that you win, deserve amazing credit. But Billericay raised the bar, and they took the finances at this level onto a new sphere. Now, in doing that, everybody wanted to beat Billericay. Every game was a cup final for the players that played against Billericay. I think the biggest word that Harry mentioned there, which was important, is when you speak about the likes of Deering and Robinson, for example, it's not only their ability, their mentality as players really have got them over the line. Whoever you are, to play Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday for a number of weeks is really difficult. We all know that. But they've churned the results out. They've grinded the results out when they've needed to. And I think it just shows that to be a top player, it's not only about the ability, it's about the characteristics and the mentality of the footballers, which is clearly in place at Billericay and ultimately probably done the job for them.
When we look at the Premier Division, is this what we expected? We obviously expected Billericay to win the league. As far as the teams that are in the playoffs, and Dulwich, a close second as you'd have imagined, but the likes of Folkestone and Hendon, Margate look like they're going to miss out now. They have missed out, and Leatherhead or Leiston possibly. Is that what we expected this season?
I thought Tunbridge would have pushed harder for the playoffs in pre-season when I saw their squad. Obviously didn't know what was going to happen at Lowestoft either. They've fallen off a cliff, but I guess Hendon, Dulwich, Margate, Billericay, they're the teams you'd expect up there. Folkestone, as he said, Folkestone have done exceptionally well to get in there.
I think Hendon have also done well, bearing in mind Gary and his squad were nearly relegated last year, weren't they? I think it's a real shout out to Gary and what he's done. Neil at Folkestone, as we said earlier, I think has done an exceptional job and almost rebuilt the team through default. I don't think Neil intended to rebuild the team, but players like Liam Friend, who have been really loyal to him, moved on. So he had to work harder in the summer than probably anticipated, and has done a wonderful job in gelling those squad of players together. So I think Billericay, Dulwich, Leiston, Margate, they were all clubs that people knew would be up there. I thought Staines would make the playoffs. They've just fallen short at the last, which is a shame for Drax, because I think that he's, again, done a really good job. Hendon and Folkestone, I think, have been exceptional. A really tremendous achievement for those clubs to get into the playoffs.
And we look at the game tonight, obviously a massive game tonight in the Premier Division as Leatherhead take on Hendon. There's a few permutations, but if Leatherhead were to win tonight, it looks like, James, it will go to a shootout between Leiston and Hendon just because they're playing each other on Saturday, which works out nicely for Leatherhead. If Hendon win tonight, they've secured their playoff position, and Leatherhead, barring a real goal swing, won't be involved. So massive game this evening.
Huge game this evening between those two clubs, and looking towards Leatherhead, I wonder if the game on Saturday against Leiston will go against them in that, to be fair. I mean, Leiston are a really, really difficult side to come up against. It seems that Matt Blake has also come up with a resurgence of form at the right time. He's had a very difficult season compared to his season last year, and I wonder if that re-emergence of Blake will be the pivotal factor in Leiston gaining a playoff place. Of course, it's not all over for Leatherhead. They need to perform tonight, but you just have the impression if Leatherhead don't manage to get a result this evening, that will be curtains for their playoff push for this season.
And we saw Matt Blake go on loan to the division that you're in, Jody. Went to Norwich and banged in a few goals there, and that's quite clever as a manager to send him out, get the goals in, get his match fitness back up, and as we saw on the Bostik League show on Saturday, came back at the right time and scored two really important goals.
Yeah, we played Norwich United where he went on loan last night, so we were pretty pleased to see Blake go back to Leiston.
Yeah, I bet. And also, we look at the bottom with interest at the weekend, and the two teams at the bottom, Burgess Hill Town and Tooting and Mitcham United. Now this year, you would feel, Darren, really aggrieved if you go down, only one going down in the Premier Division. It's not the year to be that one.
No, and obviously, Burgess Hill, I know Chapper's down there. He's done a good job down there despite obviously the league position. I've watched them play a number of times, and they're actually, they're a good side. I think that the league position doesn't tell the true story, but they are where they are, and it's a massive game for them Saturday. Obviously, for me personally, I obviously like to see Burgess Hill stay up, because obviously that would be a local derby one of the local derbies for us next year. And obviously he's a good lad, Chappers.
Curtis, you manage the ladies at Worthing, but Worthing were bottom for a while, and they were tipped by many at a certain point in the season, probably halfway through, to go down. Adam Hinshelwood's come in, changed it around. What has been so successful? Is it something that goes through the whole club, or has he just changed the first team round?
I think the main thing that I've found since I've kind of been around the club is that there's a real togetherness, whether it's from the women's to the men's, to the development centre stuff. Everyone there just seems to be on the same page and seems to be wanting to support the club moving forwards in every aspect. And I think at any level, if you want to progress, you need to make sure everyone's on the same page, everyone supports and everyone believes in what you're going to do. And I think that's why it's been such a big upturn in form for them.
It really was, Hayden, an incredible fight to get out of the bottom, and now we find ourselves in the last 6, 7, 8 weeks of the season not even mentioning Worthing, who were down there for most of it.
To be honest, I never thought they would go down. I think Worthing are a really good club. They're a club in good hands, and they had a start the season with Gary, which I don't think anybody anticipated, but I don't think that they were as far away as what people thought, which is often the case. Adam's gone into Worthing. I personally think that they're one of the best teams that we've played. Yeah. And I think next season, with the setup at Worthing, which is tremendous, I think they're averaging 600, 700, 800. The work there, not only with the pitch but around the football club, is second to none and indicative of how far they want to progress. I think that you'll see Worthing go from strength to strength now. I think they'll be up there challenging next season.
It's just talking about that, Adam was at Hastings,
yeah, and
he struggled a little bit at Hastings. We played him, and then obviously he's gone to Worthing, and I've watched Worthing a couple of times. And for me, if we sat here and talked about managers of the year, I would be saying all day long he should probably get that one in that division, because they were at one stage they were in a bad way, and he's taken them right up the league table. He's changed the style of football. And I think fair play, a lot of credit should go to him, to be fair.
We'll look at the bottom of the table. Obviously, two massive fixtures: Met Police against Tooting and Mitcham United, and Burgess Hill Town away at Harrow Borough. How do we think this one's going to play out on the last day?
I hate to say it for Tooting, because Tooting's one of my local clubs, and I know a lot of people there, and they're really good people. But equally, as Darren said, I know Ian. I cannot see Burgess Hill going down. The guy's an expert at this. Last season, everybody doomed them to relegation. Actually, they played us on the last day, and they scored 9 minutes into time added on. I think the only time that Burgess Hill have got relegated, ironically, they got reprieve from it. I cannot see, with the experience that Ian will bring to the table on Saturday, that they will get anything other than a positive result. And it'll be hard for Tooting. Frank is a young manager. It's been a difficult experience for him, but I don't think we should apportion blame to him. I think that when football clubs have difficult times, there's any number of reasons why it's not quite gone right. I think it's a joint responsibility. And, you've only got to look at opposite here, that if they continue to work with Frank and they trust him, although I think Saturday might be a difficult day, I think there's every chance that they could respond if they stay calm and look to come straight back up next season.
What can you do, Jody, as a manager on that last day when you're in a situation that they find themselves in at the bottom, both obviously for Burgess Hill and Tooting? Is there anything as a manager that you can really do, or that it really is down to the players?
We had it last year, stayed up on the last day of the season. I think the most important thing is keeping everyone calm and trying to follow your own process rather than getting caught up in other people's results and what's at stake. But fundamentally, in the end, it will just come down to bottle. If you're losing 1-0 or something like that, and you're on the way out of the league, you've just got to dig deep and find something. It's a great day, having done it. It's a great day when you stay up on the last day. Probably better than some of the successes I've had, to be honest. So I wish them all well, but I don't. I'm not envious of their situation.
Yeah, it's going to be really exciting to see for the neutral what happens in both the top and the bottom of the Premier Division at the weekend. And of course, you can catch all the action in the Bostik League show on Sunday from 10 o'clock. We're going to come back to the North and the South divisions and have a little review and look towards those playoffs and ask the guys what they thought of their seasons later on in the show. Right now, we're going to do the non-league football quiz. Always one of the most exciting times on the show. You can play along wherever you are and let us know how you get on. Official BOTN on social media.
Join in with the biggest non-league football quiz in the country. Tweet your answers to @officialBOTN.
I just left the question sheets down by James. I hope you didn't take a peek at them.
What kind of guy do you take me for?
Oh, well, they were just right in front of you, so I wasn't sure.
No, come on.
Okay, so we're going to kick off the non-league quiz tonight.
Question 1.
True or false, Park Lane, the home of Canvey Island, is one of the only football grounds in England which is below sea level. True or false, Park Lane, the home of Canvey Island, is one of the only football grounds in England which is below sea level. Is that true or false? Nice easy one to start you off tonight.
Question 2.
Berkhamsted of the Spartan Midland League South Division are nicknamed the Blairites, the Comrades or the Tories. One of those three. I'm not going to tell you which one. Obviously, that's your job. Berkhamsted of the Spartan Midland League South Division are nicknamed the Blairites, the Comrades or the Tories. It's one of those. Right up your street, this one, James. The Spartan Midland League South Division.
Pass.
And there's a big Tory as well. So.
Okay, third question tonight. Richard Osman of the TV quiz show Pointless was born in the town which houses which Bostik League club? Richard Osman was born in the town which houses which Bostik League club? Do you want me to give you 3 options? Lewis, Staines or Billericay are your 3 options. I thought someone might have had a bit of a guess, just outright.
I definitely put options for a reason on that one.
Lewis, Staines or Billericay.
He's a big character. I'm surprised people find that one hard.
Question 4.
Which island has a bigger population, Canvey Island or Guernsey? Which island has a bigger population, Canvey Island or Guernsey? Interesting questions tonight. Obviously written by Adam, our quizmaster.
Question 5.
How many Bostik Premier League sides have scored over 100 goals this season? How many Bostik Premier League sides have scored over 100 goals this season? I think that's my favourite question of the night. I like that one. And no options. You just got to decide how many teams have managed over 100 goals. Completely up to you. And that completes the 5 questions this evening. We'll come back with the answers after this.
You're listening to Back of the Net, powered by Promote UK. We're really good at what we do.
Times are changing. We now live in a digital world where 9 out of 10 people use the internet to look for local goods and services. Whether in front of a computer at home or on a mobile phone on the go, people expect to find what they want, when they want, quickly and easily. The question is, can your business be found? At Promote UK, we specialise in getting local businesses found online. One highly affordable package will give your business a stunning mobile responsive website, which we guarantee to get to the first page of Google and keep it there. And we take care of everything: copywriting, design, hosting. We even offer unlimited amends all year round for no extra charge. So, whilst you're busy focusing on your business, we're busy making sure it can be found online all year round. Start your Google Page 1 journey today with a free online health check by visiting promoteUKLimited.com. Promote UK. We're really good at what we do.
From Premiership to Playground, MH Goals has everything you need for an outstanding football match, including aluminium and steel football goals, nets, line marking machines, team shelters, boot wipers and much more. Buy with confidence direct from the manufacturer with great prices available across our whole range of sports equipment. What's more, we offer fantastic discounts for all FA affiliated clubs. We pride ourselves on British manufacturing. We make all our football goals here in the UK and conform to the latest British and European safety standards. So call MH Goals direct on 01502 711 298 or visit our online store at mhgoals.com.
Are you a budding footballer sitting your GCSEs next summer, wondering what to do next? Want to play football while studying for qualifications that will get you into university? Dorking Wanderers Football Club are now recruiting for their football academy for 2018-2019. Based at their brand new state-of-the-art Meadowbank Stadium, you'll be playing in the National Conference Youth Alliance against the best clubs in the area each week, as well as the prestigious FA Youth Cup. You'll be studying BTEC Level 3 qualifications, equivalent to 3 A-levels, alongside professional coaching from our UEFA qualified coaches. For information on trials and open evenings, visit dorkingwanderers.com/academy or email academy@dorkingwanderers.com.
Head to backofthenetsouth.co.uk tomorrow morning for video highlights and full match reaction of today's games. Back to your favourite non-league football show, powered by Promote UK. We're really good at what we do. Back of the net, where it matters.
So welcome back to the show tonight. We are doing the non-league football quiz this evening. Plenty of good questions, as always, by Adam. So the non-league quiz, you can take part in official BOTN. Let us know your answers. Everyone confident this evening?
I'm confident that I've got everyone wrong.
Right, let's find out who has the best brain.
Time to see who has the best non-league football brain in the studio. Tweet your answers to @officialBOTN.
Right, let's get straight in.
Question 1.
True or false? Park Lane, the home of Canvey Island, is one of the only football grounds in England which is below sea level. What did you get, Jody?
I said true.
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 For lads.
Yeah, for Laos, it was in fact true. Adam, do you want to give us any more background on that?
No.
Was it? I mean, if it was the only one, how did it come to light, that question?
I was on Canvey Island FC's Wikipedia page and that's what it said.
Do you find that a lot of your evenings you're on Canvey Island's Wikipedia page?
A good 3 out of 7.
Right, okay.
Somehow I'm not surprised by that at all.
It's just because they've appeared twice in this quiz alone. Is that where you got a couple of the...
A cynic might say that I found 2 good questions on the same page.
Okay. Didn't take you long, this one, then?
5 minutes.
Adam spends hours on this quiz, just to let you know.
Question 2.
Berkhamsted of the Spartan Midland League South Division are nicknamed the Blairites, the Comrades, or the Tories. Jody?
I've put the Tories, but a complete guess.
Comrades.
I went for Comrades.
The Tories?
Comrades.
Okay, it was in fact the Comrades that they are nicknamed.
Yes.
Indeed they are. And their crest, I can give you more information on that one. Their crest is 2 hands shaking. So there you go. Get yourself down to Berkhamsted.
Why are they nicknamed the Comrades?
I have no idea. Some kind of communist connection there. Maybe their chairman's a Cuban. I don't know.
Okay. I'm going to quiz you on the quiz from now on.
Question 3.
Richard Osman of the TV show Pointless was born in the town which houses which Bostic League club? Is it Lewis, Staines, or Billericay?
Me again.
Jody, go first, yeah. We'll just go
Lewis.
around this way.
Lewis.
Staines.
I had a guess. I went for Staines.
Staines.
Okay, the answer is Billericay.
Is it?
Yeah, it is. Well, I don't know. Ask Adam who wrote it.
I was surprised by that. But yeah, he is. According to Wikipedia. So don't blame me.
Did this question come from you watching the show?
I'm trying to think where this came from.
It's a pointless question.
I looked up famous people from Billericay.
Dear Hayden.
And there is many, I must say. There is
It's
many.
got no
famous
relation
people
to football, that question.
I've got
none whatsoever.
That's a non-league.
Where
that's
a TV show host is born. It's nothing to do with football.
Do you think we have to rename the non-league football quiz?
To the nonsense quiz.
The Nutters quiz. Adam.
It relates to Billericay Town, that one.
Let's move on.
Question 4.
Which
Might be a big
island?
Billericay fan, you never know.
Which island has a bigger population, Canvey or Guernsey? Canvey Island or Guernsey?
Canvey Island.
Guernsey.
Definitely Guernsey.
I've gone for Guernsey.
I've gone Canvey Island.
Guernsey is the answer. 63,000 for them. Canvey Island is home to just 38,000 people.
Lovely island.
Which one?
Which island?
Guernsey. 100% Guernsey.
Is that a comment, James?
Not Canvey.
I just like Guernsey. Guernsey's a nice part of the world.
Right, now to my favourite question tonight.
Question 5.
How many Bostik Premier League sides have scored over 100 goals this season? What do we go for?
I'll say 1.
3.
Still decided?
Were you asking for teams?
No.
I'll give
How
you
many?
an extra point if you get the teams.
What?
You might as well just guess a team, Jody.
Billericay.
Not a clue.
James, what were you going to go for?
I misheard you. I thought you'd meant write down the teams.
Well, you
not
can, because
actually-
you could go for the jugular here. There's 6 points up for grabs.
Why do you go for 3?
Yeah, okay.
I thought 3 considering goal scorers.
Go on.
Billericay,
Yeah,
Folkestone because they had Adam Youssef,
yeah.
and Staines.
Okay, we'll see if you've got the points in a minute.
So, sorry, just to clarify, there's 6 points up for grabs.
Yeah, there's more than 6 if you think it's... For James, there was 6, but there could be more than 6 for you.
Just trying to cheat.
Could be
then.
less.
That's just what I originally thought 1, but then you used plural with teams, so
Okay.
I've decided to change mine to 2.
You're going to have a guess of who they might be?
I would say definitely Billericay and Dulwich or Staines. I'll say Staines. Billericay and Staines.
Adam, do we allow a change mid-flow? Because we meant to write down the answers.
It's suspect.
Okay, Curtis, what did you get?
I've gone 3. I'm going to go Billericay, Dulwich and Folkestone.
Okay, and the answer is 3. And James, you were spot on with Billericay, Folkestone and Staines, so you get 6 points. There are obviously other points up for grabs there as well, which Adam would have worked out. Are you working out the scores, or is Remy working out the scores?
I hope Remy is, because I'm not.
Okay.
And I've got the results now. We like to do this in reverse order. I say we. Yeah, that's me. I'm the only person who does it. Curtis is unfortunately bottom.
No, he's not. It's the other way around.
I told you I'd be bottom.
He's got a 1 written next to his name.
He's number 1.
Oh, Curtis. Let's do it. Let's not do it in reverse order.
What is going on here?
Curtis has won.
Cheers.
With 8 points. Blimey.
Well done.
Well, that's that done then. We don't need to know anyone else. That's it. Well done to Curtis. There we go.
Congratulations.
Go on, if you read it off, where did everyone else finish? It's always
Shall I
important.
do...
Let's just do reverse order. Let's pretend we don't know.
Let's pretend
we'll
we
clap
don't know
Curtis
that.
at the end.
Right. That is very confusing. But yeah.
What is going on?
So... Right. So last, I'm afraid, is Jody with 3.
Yeah, I'm not good at geography.
It's non-league, not geography. It's non-league.
Sorry.
It's very non-league related. Darren, I believe. Yep. Darren then came in with 4.
Out of 5.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Hayden then in a bronze medal position
Well done.
with 5. And then James the Cheat Cummins comes in with 6.
And how many did Curtis get? 8.
8.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute.
How-
Cheat?
How did you only get 6 actually?
Actually, yeah. How did you get 6?
How am I cheating?
James,
The results
Wait,
been decided
this is-
now.
James,
I
hang
thought
on.
James was
How
going
have
to
I
walk that.
cheated here? This is contentious.
Right, hang
How
on a
have I
second.
cheated?
Hang on, James. Right, I have to say, and I don't mean to overrule, but James, you did. I was
Yeah.
keeping a mental score. He got 6 points in one question.
Yeah,
so
I thought James
you
was
did
gonna
the
win.
quiz.
Okay.
How did I get 5 when I only got 2 right?
So I don't really know where the 6 points came from in the last question because I only awarded 4. So you get 1 if you got the number, and then for every team you got, it was another 1. So I don't know where 6 came from. So no
Okay,
one
yeah.
got 6. And then
So how many did you get, James?
Do you know? I don't know.
So James got 6.
Well, James has got.
I've got
James got-
3.
No, you got 9.
No, I.
You got 9,
I don't
didn't
know.
you?
Well, I did actually miss out the Canvey Island question, so no one got scores for that, the 4th question. So I was like, oh, null and void, everyone score that round. It was all a bit of a mess. It was
Right.
Adam passed me on his work, and I'm taking on Liam's work, and it's all gone wrong.
Okay,
but,
we're
Right,
not.
let's
We're
scrap
not
this.
sure who won the non-league football quiz, but it was good to play anyway. I quite enjoyed it. Hopefully, you did. Official BOTN. Also, if you are looking for a job in radio, please let us know, and we'll consider your applications. Official BOTN. Anyway, let's move on and talk about football. and a move away from our geography quiz. We'll return with that another week. Let's go to the North Division. Jody, you'll be relieved that we've moved away from other subjects. What a fantastic season across all three divisions, and certainly the North has been no less. It's still the battle going on. You mentioned to me earlier that you're still up for automatic promotion.
Yeah, we are. There's a lot of good teams in there this year. Just simply on paper, it's a strong division with Grays, Athletic and Canvey Island coming down. Big clubs with big histories, coupled with the sides that were already in there, the likes of Hornchurch. From a personal point of view, we couldn't have wished for a better turnaround, having stayed up on the last day last season. And then we had the FA Cup run, getting to the first round, the FA Trophy run, getting to the second round. Left us 15, 16 games behind everyone else. And to be honest, I think even internally we'd sort of written off our hopes, although he didn't say that publicly. Playing 3 games a week for 6 weeks was always going to be a really tough challenge. So to have found ourselves in the playoffs, where, you know, it's a success in itself. But once you get there, you want to go one step further.
Is anyone favourites in the playoffs with the way that all of the teams that are currently in there? I know that can change and there are various permutations, but that everyone's so strong and had such a great season that it seems very even in the North Division. Yeah,
it is. It is a really strongly contested division. I mean, like last night we played Norwich, who are second from bottom, and I'd say they probably slightly shaded the game, to be honest, despite the fact we won it. And it's been like that all year. In the playoff places, being in it, it's impossible for me to call, really. Haringey are very good on their own pitch, which is an AstroTurf. Their away form's not quite as good, so they'll be wanting home advantage. Potters Bar and Bowers, either one of them, I suppose, could suffer from the come down if they don't get the automatic place, having been favourites to get the automatic place all season. Canvey Island, there has been high expectation on them all year. Everyone expected them to get promoted. They're in there. I think they've probably got the biggest players in terms of experience and levels that they've played at. So I suspect they'll come good in the playoffs. And then we're that team who's come in late. Who we've always had belief in ourselves, but you know, it will come down to the semi-finals and hopefully the final, and how you prepare yourselves and how you control your emotions.
And for you, at the weekend, it's all about the win, not worrying about other teams and the different scenarios. It's just about going out there playing and winning the game and seeing what happens.
Yeah, that's been the way we've equipped ourselves for a long, long time now. You know, I was on this show months ago and you'd say to me, do you think will you get in the playoffs, when we were 16th, 17th in the league? So we've never really looked at the league table massively. You know, obviously I do have a glance at it, but haven't sort of been doing equations and looking at 3 points here, 1 point there. You know, we haven't done that sort of thing. We've just got on with it. We've taken each team on face value, done our preparation, tried to get as many points as we can and see where it took us. And at one point it just looked like you were never ever going to catch up. You're never going to catch up, because I think we were 30 points away from the playoffs despite having all those games in hand. It just looked unsurmountable. But that's held us in good stead, because even now, when the pressure's been on with the important points towards the end, we've still just approached every game individually. We've got used to not looking at the league table, not worrying about what other teams are doing, and just trying to make up ground, and it's held us in good stead.
A massive congratulations, of course, to AFC Hornchurch, who are promoted as champions and worthy winners. I think everybody you speak to in the league says what a fantastic season they've had. 102 points at the moment.
Yeah, runaway leaders. I think they're probably 15 points, is it? Clear of second place. Very, very well organised team. Good style of play that suits them. Exceptional back four. I think they've only conceded 30 goals all season, and the goalkeeper's very good as well. I think it comes down to continuity. I think in non-league football, the teams that manage to hold on to their squads for 2 or 3 years tend to have good seasons, and Hornchurch have got stronger each season since they've been in the North Division, kept the team together, added 1 or 2 each summer, and they've got their rewards this year with an exceptional season.
James, obviously much to play for in the North Division, some big fixtures for everybody on Saturday.
Yeah, some massive fixtures coming up at the end of the season. Looking towards the likes of Bowes and Pitsea, they play at home against Brentwood Town. Also looking towards the like Potters Bar Town, their final game of the season is away at Barking, so they'll be hoping to secure that second automatic spot come the end of the season. Then, of course, I want to make a special mention as well lower down the league, and someone who I reckon should get the tip as manager of the season if it's not for the AOC Hornchurch team, and that is Craig Edwards at Cheshunt, because he's done an amazing job in steering that team away from relegation. They were one of the relegation favourites to go down, but he's come in, even though he had a month spell at Ware before he went to Cheshunt, he steered them to 20th place with 47 points, so big recognition moment for Craig Edwards at Cheshunt.
Somebody told me he's got a tea shop or something up north somewhere. That's why I say up north. I mean, it's not really up north, is it? But
Craig
in Newcastle.
Craig Edwards has got a tea shop.
That's what I've been told. Something like a tea shop, isn't it?
Possibly.
Yeah.
Got a hat shop in Aberdeen.
Doesn't look like a tea shop man to me, but
no.
Maybe.
But nevertheless, a good job that he's done as well.
Never tell Craig his tea was too milky, would you? You just drink it even if you hated it.
But you'll criticise my tea. You'll criticise my tea.
In fact, we could send Adam for a spell there to just get him trained on the tea making. Someone could get in touch with Craig Edwards. Craig, if you're listening, can we send Adam up for a little bit?
I'll do it.
Messages on social media. Have you had any interaction with the quiz? Has anybody managed to better the scores that were given out, even though we're not quite sure of what they were?
Most people are getting them incorrect, to be honest. It's been a bit of... someone put to the Canvey Island question about whether they're below sea level. Danny Broth got in touch and said, true, everyone at BTFC knows Canvey's sinking.
Wow. Bit like the Isle of Wight then.
I don't know if
sinking.
I don't know if it was a comment about Canvey Island sinking or the quality of their football sinking, but...
If we talk about the latter part, it's actually really relevant because at the beginning of the season, Canvey Island, one of the big favourites. And for them... We talk about Dulwich in the Premier Division if they aren't to win it, but for the same for Canvey Island, probably if they don't go up, really disappointing season.
I would be disappointed if I was involved with Canvey Island, but you don't know what their expectations are. It's easy to make assumptions when you see the quality of their squad and the fact that they come down, and then when you think of their recent history, what was it, maybe 10 years ago they were winning the FA Trophy and second in the Conference Premier. When you see them in the Ryman, the Bostik Division 1 North, you just immediately think like Grays Athletic, they're gonna be strong. It's not always the case, but we have played Canvey, and on paper they got a really good team. They got 7, 8, 9 players that have all got National South experience. So, despite the fact that they're 6th, I think they're one of the favourites in the playoffs because big players turn up in the big games.
And George Sykes, of course, 25 goals for him this season as well. The highest goal scorer of teams that are in the top in the playoffs.
No, we've got Matt Price. He's got 38.
Has he got 38?
He scored 18 for Brentwood before he came to us.
Oh,
in the same division.
It's not been a...
If you go on the ESPN website, he's got 38 goals.
Yeah.
To be honest, because of that football web pages, he doesn't really get the credit he deserves.
We certainly not got it tonight.
He never gets spoke about. He's got 38 league goals. An exceptional season for him, and I don't think anyone even knows his name because of the football web pages. It's probably quite good. It allows us to keep hold of him.
In fact, what they do on here is they do list it, and I have to give credit to them. They put him in 14th and 15th because they've accredited his 18 goals with you as a separate score. Right. And his 18 goals with Brentwood. So effectively, Matt Price had to start again when he came to you in the league goal scoring charts, according to football pages. So of course, Matt Price is the top goal scorer in the league by a long way. But with 25 goals for George Sykes, again, we talked about it, Hayden, didn't we? The goal scorers, when you get someone scoring that amount of goals, you expect you've got a really good opportunity.
Absolutely. I think if you look at all of the leagues, the teams at the top have got the players that will put the ball in the back of the net. Going back to the Bostik Premier Division, you look at Robinson in Billericay, you look at Alasani in Dulwich, you look at Hendon. They've all got the players that will put the ball in the back of the net, and that's often the difference. It's fine margins, and games can be decided often in this level of football who are the best teams in both penalty areas, and the teams at the top end have all got the players that can score the goals that will turn 1 point into 3, and sometimes in a bad day, no points into a point
Is that the same, Curtis, in ladies football? If you've got a goal scorer, and obviously you see lots of different teams that come and play your club, if you've got a goal scorer, it's a similar thing that you look for. Somebody that's going to get you 20 plus goals a season will mean success.
Yeah, it's something that I've actually come to learn a lot, certainly over the last year and a half, is that if you are fortunate enough to get hold of someone who is just natural at sticking the ball in the net, it's absolute gold dust. I mean, I'm sure you guys will all agree, it's the same as having a good goalkeeper at the other end of the pitch you can trust. Just someone that you know you can get that one chance to in a game, and like you said, it could turn 1 point into 3, or it could turn 0 into 1. It's such a big difference. I mean, particularly for us, certainly on Sunday we had a cup final, which unfortunately we lost 3-1. We created enough chances, but we just couldn't get the ball in the back of the net, and ultimately it's cost us in a couple of games this season.
One thing that I do want to talk about tonight is at the end of the playoffs, obviously we wish you the best, Jody, for your playoff campaign. Do you worry that, does it affect, if you don't go up, we talk of your goal scorer, we did give him a mention, Matt, are you worried that you then automatically lose players at this level, as they're not perhaps some tied down to longer contracts?
I think non-league football is just a rotating door, really. I think every summer teams lose 6 or 7 and add 6 or 7. Like I said about Hornchurch, probably the strength of their football club is the continuity, that they've kept the same team together for 3 or 4 seasons. If you can do that, you're lucky. I'm well aware that if we don't get promoted, or even if we do get promoted, there'll be interest in our players. We've had interest in the players throughout the season, so I'm sure that will only be magnified in the summer.
Is it almost a case of you're almost starting from scratch again? You have to replan, maybe look at how you play, who you've got in, how your patterns of play suits the players you've got. Is that frustrating? Is that something that you kind of wish wasn't the case in non-league football? I
don't get frustrated. It's just I accept it. I've been involved for a long time now, and it's what happens. I don't think I would change the way we play. We'll still have the same philosophy and how we approach things, but I appreciate the fact that we'll probably have to replace certain players. You hope you don't, because I go back to it again, continuity will generally lead to success, certainly at the level we're at. But even if we do go up, that doesn't ensure that all the squad will stay together. It's ever changing non-league football. That's one of the problems of non-league football. You find a good player, or you develop a kid out of your youth team or whatever, and you're going to lose them pretty quickly. That's just how it is.
Is that similar when we talk about ladies football, and obviously the growth of the game on the ladies side with the introduction of the 2 top tiers of football in this country, the success of the teams in the European competitions as well, filtering down to your level? Is that a similar thing, that you have to change teams and be prepared to bring in different players, because they will be scouted now by the top teams in the country?
Yeah, I think there is an element of that. I mean, certainly from my experience, the difference between men and women's football is that I do find that the female game, there is a little bit more loyalty. There is less players that are changing, but like you said, because of the transition phase the game is in general, I think certainly this summer you're going to see a lot of movement between clubs. There's probably youngsters out there that are looking at it now and thinking, do you know what, I probably fancy myself to go National League or to the Championship level, which is Div 2 and Div 3, I believe. But yeah, like you said, I mean, certainly from what I've seen in the men's game, it does seem like the retention is probably one of the most difficult jobs. So yeah, I certainly don't envy you guys after pre-season.
We're going to talk more about the season. We're going to review the Bostik South season, which I'm sure Darren will enjoy in the second half of the show. And we're also going to reel off various topics that I've got for you to discuss, including the likes of referees and pitches, which we're going to do between now and 9 o'clock. We'll keep an eye on the game that has just kicked off as well in the Bostik Premier Division. And all that's coming up after this.
You're listening to Back of the Net, powered by Promote UK. We're really good at what we do.
Times are changing. We now live in a digital world where 9 out of 10 people use the internet to look for local goods and services. Whether in front of a computer at home or on a mobile phone on the go, people expect to find what they want, when they want, quickly and easily. The question is, can your business be found? At Promote UK, we specialise in getting local businesses found online. One highly affordable package will give your business a stunning mobile responsive website, which we guarantee to get to the first page of Google and keep it there. And we take care of everything: copywriting, design, hosting. We even offer unlimited amends all year round for no extra charge. So, whilst you're busy focusing on your business, we're busy making sure it can be found online all year round. Start your Google Page One journey today with a free online health check by visiting promoteUKLimited.com. Promote UK. We're really good at what we do.
From Premiership to Playground, MH Goals has everything you need for an outstanding football match, including aluminium and steel football goals, nets, line marking machines, team shelters, boot wipers, and much more. Buy with confidence direct from the manufacturer with great prices available across our whole range of sports equipment. What's more, we offer fantastic discounts for all FA affiliated clubs. We pride ourselves on British manufacturing. We make all our football goals here in the UK and conform to the latest British and European safety standards. So call MH Goals direct on 01502 711 298 or visit our online store at mhgoals.com.
Are you a budding footballer sitting your GCSEs next summer, wondering what to do next? Want to play football while studying for qualifications that will get you into university? Dorking Wanderers Football Club are now recruiting for their football academy for 2018-2019. Based at their brand new state-of-the-art Meadowbank Stadium, you'll be playing in the National Conference Youth Alliance against the best clubs in the area each week, as well as the prestigious FA Youth Cup. You'll be studying BTEC Level 3 qualifications, equivalent to 3 A-levels, alongside professional coaching from our UEFA qualified coaches. For information on trials and open evenings, visit dorkingwanderers.com/academy or email academy@dorkingwanderers.com.
Head to backofthenetsouth.co.uk tomorrow morning for video highlights and full match reaction of today's games. Back to your favourite non-league football show, powered by Promote UK. We're really good at what we do. Back of the net, where it matters. With all the latest news from across non-league football. Online at backofthenetsouth.co.uk and broadcasting live on YouTube, Twitter and Facebook. This is Back of the Net News.
Here are the latest news stories just before 8 o'clock. Hartlepool United have announced that Raj Singh has now formally completed his takeover of the club. Mr Singh, along with the club's honorary president, Jess Stelling, have been in talks with the previous owners over the last 3 months, and a deal to take the reins has now been approved by the Football Association. There are increased fears that Dagenham and Redbridge may not make it to next season after director Glyn Hopkins' funding has ceased. Managing Director Steve Thompson has said that the situation is quite dire and Dagenham could possibly run out of money in the next couple of months. A parish council has responded to North Ferriby United owner Jamie Waltham's plans to open the pitch to travellers by planting concrete bollards at the gates. North Ferriby Parish Council have said that they've had no alternative but to dump the large bollards at the gates of North Ferriby United's ground after the club's owner said that he wanted to use it as a travellers' site to boost revenue. Harrogate Town have been given the green light for the redevelopment of their Wetherby Road ground, adding new facilities and almost doubling their capacity. The development will support the club's aims of eventually securing promotion to the Football League. And finally, boss Lee Sinnott admitted there will be changes at Gainsborough Trinity after their relegation from the National League North was confirmed. Trinity, who in their 145-year history have never been promoted or relegated, and they dropped out of the league after seeing a 2-goal lead slip away in a 3-2 away defeat at Telford. That's the news. I'm James Cummins.
Yeah, welcome back to the show tonight. Plenty more to talk about. Official BOTN, if you want to get your thoughts into the show. Plenty of people doing that as well, Adam. We've got opinions on the quiz and other stuff as well.
Yeah, it's hectic. although not many people have tweeted in currently. Mainly just answers to the quiz, most of which are wrong.
Okay, well, let's move on straight away. Let's talk about your division, Darren. We've talked about the Bostik Premier Division, the Bostik North, and into the South. What a fantastic season for you, and as we mentioned earlier, still all to play for at the weekend.
Yeah, it's obviously we're at the right end of the table, so it's been enjoyable. Obviously, it makes it even more important going into the last game, and obviously trying to win that one to win the league. For both teams, it's massive. We've led the league for quite some time. Obviously, Colshorton have been on our tails. They took over us last week and they couldn't handle the pressure, and they lost. So was a bit devastated that we lost as well. So I think it'd be a big game Saturday for both teams.
When you look back on the season, is it what you expected or set out to do, was to be this consistent and finish where you finished?
If I'm honest, I think I've got a young bunch of honest lads. And I think we've got the best out of them. They've been magnificent. People, you try and talk to people, and I don't think they quite realise how hard and difficult it is to win a league, because I think teams can win the odd games here and there, but you're asking players to go again week in, week out, week in, week out. When they're 17 years old and even 16. I've got, Harry Reid's played 16. I think it's fantastic.
And we mentioned that game the games at the weekend as well. We said this earlier with Jody, just focusing on your game. But I imagine if there's ever going to be a game where you're going to keep an eye on the other results and the players might know, it will be this one at the weekend. Yeah,
I think so. I think we have to concentrate on ourselves, and all we can do Saturday is win a game of football. And I think for me, we've had a great season. Obviously, I want to win the league, but we've just got to go out there and win the game of football, and then everything else, I suppose, takes care of itself. You can't do anything about any other results. You just have to hope the football gods are with you.
We talk about pressure in the game and how players deal with it and what you can do as a manager. Well, you're both clear favourites to win, both at home. It will be who deals with that pressure the better.
Yeah, and I think that's when you need your Sam Deerings. If you had a Sam Deering there, he's got the experience and they've been there and done that. But unfortunately, I haven't got a Sam Deering. So we've got an honest bunch of lads, and I think for me that's as a manager, that's all you can ask. And I want my players to just go out there. It's a normal game for us. We're treated like that, and I want them to go out there and express themselves. And for me, it's my job to make sure that nothing changes. It's a game of football. I know obviously it's an important one, but so are the other 40 odd.
And it's really close in division, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But as far as next season, if you dare to look ahead, I know the job's not quite done yet, but have you got many changes in mind? Is your head already going towards what next season will be like in the Premier Division?
Well, I mean, obviously, I've been in that division. It's a difficult division. I think we just have to look at ourselves really, and like Jody said, clubs come and they start to take your players. And fortunate for me, a lot of my players obviously perform very well, so there's a lot of interest in them. Us as Lewis, we believe in our youngsters and we try and bring them up from the youth. So we look at that, and if we can, like Jody said, we can keep the majority of the players, then we'd look to bring in one or two and take it from there. But I think it's important that they all come back and we give them a go. And
this season, not only success for you, but a lot of press for the ladies' team as well that has happened at Lewis. Have you been involved in much of that? Have you heard about it, obviously, and been involved in the bits and pieces that are going on? And is it nice at the club to get the attention for the ladies' side as well?
Well, I mean, it's the equality of pay, etc. And Lewis have come out, and they're the first club to do that. And I think that it's caused a lot of debates. And for me, I mean, it doesn't interfere with myself or my team. I went and watched them play against Everton, and to be fair, they surprised me. They were really, really good, so fair play. And I think for me at the moment, Lewes, it's a great club to be at. There's a lot happening on and off the pitch, which can only make the club itself move forward in the right direction.
Curtis, when you look at what Lewes have done, I know we've talked about it on the show before, but it's something that you'd like to see happen at Worthing with the equality of pay?
Yeah, I think we'd like to see it across all levels of women's football, to be honest. It is just about being equal, and it's about a club being together. It's not necessarily for me about the money side of things, and I'm sure most female players in the game, and even probably male players, will say that it's just about kind of feeling valued by a club, just feeling like you belong there and you deserve to be there, and you kind of get the same treatment, which is the most important thing. It's not always about money, which is what people just assume.
I know that I spoke to your chairman a few weeks ago, and the feel-good factor around the club because of what's happened with the ladies, and obviously the success of the men's team, just really nice at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like all clubs, they go through stages where, over the past years it hasn't been great for Lewes. So obviously it makes it a little bit more special this season. And the chairman, it's nice to be. He's a good man, and I'm really pleased for himself and the fans. We're getting 800 people a week through the doors, and the fans have been fantastic. And like you say, it's a great club to be around at the moment.
Plenty of exciting fixtures as well in the Bostik South at the weekend, and there's still so much to be decided with those teams, obviously for the title and in the playoffs as well.
There's some massive games coming up in particular. I'm looking at one of the big games at the weekend, which is of course Hive Town versus Corinthian Casuals. Casuals high on a 5-0 win against Guernsey going into this game, so they're going to be full of confidence. Hive will also be looking over their shoulders as well at Walton Casuals, who are away at Ashford United, of course. Walton Casuals still very much in a chance of getting that final playoff space.
Well, it's actually in their hands, isn't it, Walton Casuals, because Corinthian Casuals are playing Hive Town, and because of the goal difference that Walton Casuals have, it is in their hands.
Yeah, absolutely.
They just have to win.
Yeah, they just have to win, and then they're across the line. But of course, all emphasis will be on Walton Casuals going into the game. And of course, looking at the other fixtures as well, Cray Wanderers, they play against Guernsey, so they could potentially cement their place in the playoff places. And also Greenwich Borough too, away at Herne Bay. So a lot of decent games coming up. Also, as well, with the two teams which have been promoted. Lewes, of course, are home against Chipstead 2. And then the final game to mention, which is Carshalton Athletic, and they are at home against VCD Athletic. So lots to look at in the Bostik South.
We must mention Carshalton as well. Obviously, a successful season for them. You know their manager well, and they play a great style of football.
And a really great club. I was privileged to manage Carshalton Athletic 8-9 years ago now, when we got to the Ryman Premier Division playoff final. Peter obviously played for me at Merstham. He picked up the reins from Chris McGinn, who I think managed the club before Peter. Carshalton, like Lewes and like Heybridge, they're Premier Division football clubs. They will complement the Premier Division. Yeah, Carshalton are a club that can comfortably get 400, 500, 600 people through the door if they're doing well. The football that they play is a pleasure to watch. Peter, I think, has done a really exceptional job, not only this season but last season. And whoever wins the league title, as much as I will be delighted for them, you've got to feel sorry for the club that doesn't. You're looking at Carshalton, you're looking at Lewes. Both these teams will probably finish with over 100 points. And to win the league title and you've won over 100 points is crazy. But again, a real compliment to the work that both Peter and Darren have done this season.
Well, take back to last year in the Bostik South, and two teams that finished over 100 points, and one of them did have to go through the playoffs because there wasn't the two automatic promotion spots. But you're right, it's a hell of an achievement for both clubs. We obviously wish both teams the best at the weekend. And the last thing I was going to mention to you, Darren, is it must be nice that there's a little bit of pressure to win the title, and I'm sure all players and managers want to finish with the winning medals, but it's nice to have a game of that magnitude for that pressure and knowing that you are going up already, and it's just for the title.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, like you say, it's the pressure, etc., and it's here, get the old butterflies going, and I shouldn't have to get the players up for that game. So half of my job's done already. So for me, it's just the lads that go out there and hopefully they express themselves and enjoy the moment, and it's a big occasion for the fans as well. And I'm sure that a lot of texts will be coming through and letting us know what the scores are, etc. So it'll be a good day, hopefully.
Yeah, it'll be a fascinating couple of games. Speaking of games, tonight, big one in the Bostik Premier Division, James. We've had a goal.
Yeah, big game going on at Fetcham Grove, and it's advantage to Hendon. They are 1-0 up through Sam Murphy on 11 minutes, so it's advantage to the North London side in that crucial game there. Also, a couple of other scorelines to mention as well. Romford are a goal up against Grays Athletic, so it's a good scoreline for them. And in the Bostik South, it's Shoreham, who have already been relegated. It's 0-0 between them and Whiteleaf. But big scoreline at the moment in the Bostik Premier League. Not so good news for Leatherhead at the moment.
We move on with the show. You can get involved on official BOTN across social media. We've covered all three divisions tonight. We've looked forward to the final weekend of the season, the playoffs, and of course had a little review as well. What we're going to do now is just going to give you some topics to discuss around the table. I'm going to start with fixture congestion as we look back on the season, and what seemingly the best place to start would be with you, Jody.
Yeah, an interesting topic for me. I think the league need to look at a way to reward teams that have cup success rather than penalise teams. With no disrespect meant to anyone in our division, I think we're probably going to miss out on automatic promotion by maybe 2 points. It's pretty clear that if we hadn't have had to play 3 games a week for 6 weeks, we'd have probably got automatic promotion. We've gone places with 12 outfield players and had to play centre forwards at fullback and things like that. We are part-time, we're not full-time, and just to put it into perspective, if you play Saturday, you have a day off Sunday, you're preparing for your game Monday, you play Tuesday, recovery and preparation Wednesday, playing again Thursday, same again Friday, playing again Saturday, and we've been doing that for 6 weeks. It's impossible to, well, I say impossible, nothing's impossible, is it? But because I'm at every game, I can tell you we've dropped points that we wouldn't have dropped had we had 3 or 4 days recovery rather than 24 hours.
What can be done about this? How can they tackle the problem?
Well, it's a difficult one, isn't it? First and foremost, I think they make life difficult for themselves because there's 24 teams in the league. I don't think there's a necessity to have 24 teams in the league. You're putting pressure on the clubs before we've even started. I think Jody's absolutely right. People need to factor in that Jody's players are not only playing football, they're working men. And, they have self-employed people that may be losing out on work because of they're at football. Their bosses may not allow to. So there's all sorts of strains that they need to look into. How you solve it, the simplistic way of solving it, I would suggest, is to have less teams in the league. I think it's at saturation point. And B, I don't understand why you have to have a fixed date where the league closes down. Why can't they extend the league? The FA, Nick Robinson, will say, well, you have to consider the playoffs, but the playoffs are being played in Bostik League grounds anyway. I don't see why, and I was in this position as well last year, Jody, albeit it wasn't to fight for promotion. Because of Merstam's FA Cup run, we played Saturday, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Monday. The Thursday game we played away at Lowestoft. We arrived back at 2:30 in the morning, only then to go to Grays the next day. They're punishing success. I really think something needs to be done by it.
The other thing in it as well to consider is the volunteers at non-league football clubs to get the ground ready, get the pitch ready, wash the kits, get the food ready for the opposition, get the referee's room ready. All these things that they do, it's just absolutely relentless, and they've got jobs, they're not getting paid, they're not really getting rewarded. I guess their reward is the team succeeding, but it's far too much to ask of people. And I think it's brought us to the point where people say to me, would you have sought promotion for your FA Cup success? And then that leads to the next issue across the whole game nationally. You've got Premier League teams and Football League teams resting players for FA Cup games. Do they want us to do that in non-league as well? Do they want me to scrap the FA Cup and just go, I'll put our fringe players in the FA Cup games? I'm more worried about promotion. It's meant to be a great cup competition. We gave it our all. We were fortunate enough to have success. And the FA Trophy, I guess that doesn't happen that much that you do them both in the same season. But the fixture congestion's been ridiculous, and it's easier to say it now because we've made the playoffs, but had we hadn't, I think it would be pretty painful for everyone involved at the club.
So we're saying that there's nothing particularly that we can do apart from perhaps move the dates of the season.
Well, again, I repeat, I don't think there should be 24 teams in the league. I think you're at saturation point already. That there are clubs that haven't had FA Cup runs that are struggling to get their fixtures in because of the crazy weather that we've had this year. Normally in April, the pitches are bone hard and bobbly. Up to a week ago, there were games being postponed because they were waterlogged. It's been really difficult. I think the only suggestion that I could make, and I'm sure whether Nick or the FA were listening, they would tell me 100 reasons why you can't do that, is that I don't understand why there has to be a fixed date where the league closes. Now, I understand that players are contracted and you're extending budgets because you're extending contracts because they'll be paid until the last competitive game. But all of that said, the clubs that are doing so well, why should their season be placed in jeopardy in the last month because they have to finish the season on a certain date? It's rewarding. It's not rewarding success. I don't think it's fair.
You're giving the league great exposure, aren't you? When you're playing live on the BBC and things like that, you're giving the Bostik League a lot of exposure, and their thanks for it is to give you 3 games a week for 6 weeks. It's aggravated me, to be honest.
Could we not? Is there not a way that we could change the planning of the season where the county cups and the League Cup perhaps start a lot later, and those that then are involved in good FA Cup runs and good runs in the FA Trophy can actually say we don't want to be in those competitions?
I've suggested that before, but people sort of shoot you down on it. I don't really know why, but I'll leave that to the people who make the decisions. But to put it in perspective, if we get to the playoff final, we'll have played 72 games this season. So to play 72 games in 39 weeks, and it's very difficult, and it does jeopardise your opportunity to succeed ultimately at the end of the season.
Does it frustrate you in that situation when you then hear about players at the top level of the game that get all the best treatment, best pitches and everything else, and they moan about playing the games that they play?
No, not really. I understand, they're playing at the elite level, and mentally for them it's much, I don't know, I've not played at the elite level, but I imagine preparing for a Champions League game away at Roma is a lot more intense than me preparing to play Norwich United away last night.
Even if they've got Matt Blake?
Even if they've got Matt Blake.
Yeah, it's a really interesting debate, isn't it, Darren, about the everyone wants to play, everyone wants there to be cup competitions to be able to win, and people love playing football. And someone said to me the other day about winter break in non-league football, where perhaps you could make up some of your fixtures if you had that backlog, but it's very difficult when the success is basically the season is not planned, so that teams like Heybridge have the runs that they do in the cup competitions.
Yeah, it seems crazy. And you have to look at Billericay as well. I think that they were successful in the FA Trophy and the FA Cup, and they were playing 3 times a week at one stage, and I think that's when they went on a couple of their runs where they weren't winning games. I think they were knackered. And they are human beings at the end of the day. I can't believe, I didn't know that, to be honest with you. I can't believe how many games your lads have had to play. It just seems crazy. It's crazy, but like you say, what do you do?
I think Aidan's right. The reduction in numbers in the league,
I think that makes,
will play a big part.
Yeah.
James, have you got good thoughts on these things?
I think there definitely needs to be some kind of change with the amount of games which are played. I think it's extremely unfair, from echoing the sentiments of everybody else within this room. Why should you penalise teams that succeed extremely well, like Jodie's team this season, with fixture congestion at the end of the day? And I agree with Hayden. I feel that there should be an extension to the cut-off point where teams are able to play longer if they have severe congestion, because it isn't fair, and it does put a lot of added pressure on not just the players and the manager, but like you say, the staff, the volunteers that run behind the club and what make them what they are. So I think there should be a reform in the fixture list and the fixture structure if there is such a congestion like what we've seen with Haybridge this season.
We're just about to restructure the league slightly this for next season. Would you have liked to see perhaps 16 teams in each division to allow for cup competitions?
I don't know. I think it will make a big difference only being 20. That's 6 games less. So that's 6 midweeks extra that you've got. I think that will make a big difference. Our situation was made a bit tougher because we had a lot of replays, but you know, we shouldn't be penalised for that. Getting a replay, playing away at Hampton and Richmond, who was second in the National League at the National South at the time. You know, why should we see a penalty as the result of that? You know, that should have been applauded.
Let us know your thoughts. Official BOTN.
We have a thought. I'm not sure the panellists will agree with this, but David Spriggs said that 3G pitch is the answer to fixture congestion. More 3G pitches, less fixture congestion. I don't know what people make of that.
But yours wasn't really down too much to games being called off.
No, we've had 1 or 2 games called off because of weather, like everyone else in the league. But we had that fixture congestion regardless of the snow or the rain. We knew that the last 2 months of the season we were going to be playing 3 games a week, and you know, I do sympathise with everyone who's had it, but I've listened to people moaning because they've done it once. They've said, oh, you know, we dropped points on Thursday night. We've done it for 6 weeks. For 6 weeks we've been doing it. 16, 17 games behind we were. And I just don't think that's fair. I think at that point they could have said, look at Haybridge. To ask them to play 3 games a week for 6 weeks is just too much. We can extend the league by a week or 10 days. Or they had loads of time to do it, and I don't think everyone else would have moaned, especially when the weather set in as well. Again, I'm not involved in the structure of the league and the decision making of the league, but you know, everyone wants to see teams succeed who work hard, and you want to see the best players succeed and the best football teams succeed. You don't want an external factor to decide who wins leagues, do you? I don't think you want it to be based on the ability and the success of that team, not on an external factor.
Do the playoffs come too early, straight after? Could they be delayed for a couple of weeks to give teams A chance to catch up and B a little bit more rest in between? Or?
Yeah, potentially. Again, it's very hard when you're not involved in it, because I'm sure they've got reasons for why they lay the fixtures out how they do. I'm sure that, like when you speak to a referee, you know, they know the laws better than us managers and coaches. So I'm sure the league know the reasons they do things better than we know. All I know is when I was at Redbridge as well, we got to the second round of the FA Cup and we ended up missing out on the playoffs by 1 point. And if we hadn't have had that cup run, we 100% would have got in the playoffs. But again, the fixture congestion catches up with you, and like Hayden said, he's had it as well at Mersham. So I think they should start to expect someone from the league to do well in the FA Cup, rather than it be the unexpected, and actually prepare for the fact that someone might succeed and you need to help them.
We mentioned this on the show last time we talked about this, but it seems strange, Hayden, that they don't have some of the county cups and indeed the League Cup. I think they do it in Scotland, or they used to, where it's actually built into pre-season, so you could almost play rounds 1 and 2 of the League Cup and 1 and 2 of a county cup in pre-season, which would get you your pre-season games, be competitive, and perhaps knock off a few fixtures.
Absolutely. I think all ideas are good ideas, but I think the people that are administering the ideas have got it badly wrong. You know, with Jody, how many... The question that I would ask is, when Jody and his players every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday for 6 weeks were giving up their time and some of their money, how many times were league officials at those games as well? My point being, I had this argument with Alan Turvey 3 years ago. I think it was 3 years ago, before Nick become the chairman. I was in exactly the same situation, and the point I made to Alan is, you know, it's all very well, Alan, you're sitting at home every Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. I've got a job. The players have got work. Some of these players work in the city, and we go into the back of beyond every Tuesday, every Thursday. It's not right. Whether the idea to bring the League Cup optional is a suggestion. I think at one point that was definitely mooted. Whether people decide that the county cups, I know, are optional. Some clubs can, if they're affiliated to 2 counties, they can choose only to play in one. Whether these competitions should be earlier is another suggestion. But I think something needs to be done, because last season I was in this position, this season Jodie's in this position. The point that he makes is absolutely right. Someone is always penalised, and what everybody needs to consider is that, to take the worst case scenario, touch wood it doesn't happen, but let's say Jodie isn't promoted at the weekend and his players are running on empty, they don't get promoted. That's from the first day of July, that's his and his players' work. That you're talking about 8-9 months of work that have been jeopardised because they can't get the fixtures right. It's not right. There's a year's work there, and that have gone into getting Jodie in this position, and through no fault of his own, someone may be promoted that really shouldn't be, because they're not as good as Heybridge, but Heybridge have just run out of gas.
Roberto Mancini once said plenty of homemade pizza before the games gives the players energy, so maybe that's the key for you ahead of your playoff campaigns. So much more to debate on that. We could do a whole show on it. Official BOTN on social media. We've got more topics to debate tonight as well. We're going to take a short break from the heavy topics and play Who Am I, which I know most of you have played before. I'm going to reel off a football player, tell you where he's born, the appearances and the goals and the clubs that he's been at. And if you know who it is, you just need to say your name and I'll come to you. If you get it wrong, you're out. That's how it works. We did it. Who got this wrong? Somebody got it wrong, didn't they? Was it Anthony Gale? It was brilliant at the game. Just shouted out the answers, who it was. But you've got to say your name. That's key. You say your name, I'll come to you. It's almost like a buzzer. Adam is very good at this. So is James. So big competition. I think Curtis might be a dark horse in this, actually.
I was absolutely horrific last time. But then again, he did answer everyone in about 3 seconds, and it threw me off. So
if you want to play Who Am I tonight, official BOTN across social media. We will kick off this evening with our first player. I was born on the 12th of September in 1981 in Hull, in England. I started my career with Nottingham Forest in 1998. I played 143 games.
Jermaine Jenas.
Is incorrect. You're out of the game. 143 appearances and I scored 7 goals. I then moved to Southampton in 2003 and made 82 appearances and scored 3 goals. I had a loan spell back at Nottingham Forest before I joined Leeds United and made 67 appearances and scored 4 goals. I had a loan spell at Colchester United before playing for Swindon Town. 41 appearances, 3 goals. Sheffield Wednesday, 56 appearances and 3 goals. And then Scunthorpe United and Coventry City on loan.
Adam, is it Leon Clark?
Is incorrect, Adam. You're out of the game. Any ideas?
Curtis. Matty Fryatt.
Is incorrect. Started the career at Nottingham Forest, played for Southampton, Leeds United, Swindon, Sheffield Wednesday and Coventry City. Also made 25 appearances for England under-21s between 2000 and 2003.
Is it Darren Huckabee?
Is incorrect.
Norwich.
Just James. Guess.
I'm not sure. I actually don't know.
This is one of those moments.
You're making these too hard.
You're making these almost
too obscure. I write the quiz and I think these are.
See, I feel like I've won this game because every week Adam seems to get it straight away. The answer is David Prutton.
Oh!
David Prutton.
That's a blast from the past.
God, you thought Burke Hampstead was obscure.
He's on TV every week, isn't he? We should have been able to get that.
Richard Osman was obscure.
No.
Blimey.
Let us know if you got that one. Official BOTN. Absolutely loved it. Stumped in the studio for the first time.
God. Blimey.
This next one I think might be. I was born on the 2nd of April in 1966 in London. I started my career in 1983 with Millwall, where I made 220 appearances.
Marcus Bent.
Is incorrect. And I scored 93 goals for Millwall.
Is it Dennis Wise? That's not.
Incorrect.
Jody.
You're both out.
Teddy Sheringham.
Is correct. Is correct. I had loan spells at Aldershot. I played for Nottingham Forest, Tottenham Hotspur, Manchester United. Went back to Tottenham. I played for Portsmouth, West Ham, Colchester and Stevenage. And of course, 51 appearances and 11 goals for England. and famously up front with Alan Shearer in the
And his son played for Dartford. Bit of extra fact.
And AFC Wimbledon.
Yeah, Charlie Sheringham. And Bournemouth for a bit.
Yeah.
And Welling and Bishop Stortford and Chelmsford. He's played for a lot.
Is there anyone in?
You can keep going if you want.
I've actually prepared quite a few tonight because usually what happens is as soon as we say where they were born, Adam gets it. So it's the game doesn't go for very long.
Yeah.
I was born on the 22nd of September in 1978 in Sydney, New South Wales, Australia.
Is it Tim Cahill?
Is incorrect. You're out.
Jody. Harry Kill
is correct. I started my career with Leeds United, 181 appearances. I played for Liverpool, Galatasaray, Melbourne Victory, Al Ghaffarathia, and Melbourne Heart. It was always going to be one of those two players, wasn't it?
Viduka, yeah.
I thought one of the two. I went wrong.
Jody's storming away with Who Am I Tonight?
Jody's the dark horse.
He is.
We continue. I was born on the 25th of June in 1973 in Barton-on-Sea in England. I started my career in 1989 with Bournemouth. I made 13 appearances and didn't score a goal. In 1991, I moved to Liverpool where I made 237.
Jamie read that.
Is correct. Liverpool.
It's amazing when it's about football.
He only played
geography.
He played for his dad at Bournemouth.
Tottenham Hotspur and Southampton also played for England. Of course, capped 17 times for England. Jamie Redknapp. We move on.
The water.
I was born on the 22nd of February 1969 in Vienna in Austria. I started my career in 1986 in Brøndby where I made 49 appearances and scored 13 goals. In 1989 I moved to Bayer Udadgegen and made 34 appearances and scored 6 goals. In 1990 I moved to Bayern Munich where I made 53 appearances and scored 11 goals. In 1992 I played for Fiorentina, 31 appearances.
Christian Ziege
is incorrect, Jody. You're out this time. 31 appearances and 5 goals. In 1993, I had a loan spell with Milan where I made 9 appearances and scored 1 goal. In 1994, I moved to Rangers where I made 116 appearances and scored 33 goals. In 1998, I moved to Chelsea and made 7 appearances.
James.
I know it.
Oh, I think we should let Jody answer.
No, Jody's out. We'll come to him at the end if no one gets it. After I played for Chelsea in 1998, I moved to Copenhagen where I made 12 appearances and scored 2 goals. And then I finished my career in 1999 with Ajax, 31 appearances, 13 goals. And I also made 82 appearances and scored 21 goals for my national team, which was Denmark.
Peter Schmeichel.
You've got to say your name. You're out.
Oh.
Okay, Jody, we'll let you go.
Brian Laudrup
is correct, absolutely correct. Hayden, I thought you might get that as of course Chelsea. Do you remember that time we played for Chelsea?
The story behind when Laudrup signed for Chelsea is I never ever used to go and get the Chelsea shirts with their player's name on it, but I was so excited by the signing. I went to Stamford Bridge, got the player's name on it. I went home. There was a press conference at Chelsea to announce they'd terminated his contract by mutual consent. And he left Chelsea after about 2 months he was at Chelsea, Laudrup. And there was I sitting at home with a Brian Laudrup.
Collector's item.
Yeah.
We'll do a couple more of these. I was born on the 22nd of April in 1969. I was born in Leicester in England. I started my career in 1988 with Norwich City. I didn't manage an appearance or a goal. But in 1988, I moved to Cambridge United and I managed 156 appearances.
Dion Dublin.
Is correct.
No.
Quick!
I also played for Manchester United, Coventry, Aston Villa, Millwall, Leicester City, Celtic and Norwich.
We're too young, James.
And this is no.
Well, I am.
We've got a really interesting one, this one. I was born on the 19th of May in 1978 in Hammersmith in London. I started my career in 1995 with Brentford where I managed 70 appearances and 8 goals. In 1998 I then moved to Crystal Palace, 28 appearances and 5 goals. In 1999 I played for Port Vale with 23 appearances and 1 goal. In 1999 I was also played for Sheffield United, 48 appearances and 20 goals.
Marcus Bent
is correct. Sheffield United, Blackburn Rovers, Ipswich Town, Leicester City, Everton, Charlton, Wigan, Birmingham, Middlesbrough, Queen's Park Rangers, Wolves, Sheffield United, Mitra Kuka and Wick. And that was Marcus Bent. I think he's one of the 3 players that has played for the most English teams.
How many relegations has he had?
I haven't got that in here. But we
I don't know. I just remember
He's probably had a lot.
relegated
He's
a lot.
probably had a lot in his career.
Normally it's me who gets thrown to with these impossible questions.
Okay, tonight we're going to do one more now, and all I would say is get your buzzers ready for this one. Okay, so I was born on the 27th of September in 1976 in Italy. In 1992, I played for my only club, Roma. 690 appearances.
Totti. Oh.
I think Adam just got that. Yeah. It was Totti. 619 appearances, 250 goals, one club, 1992 to 2017.
Gutted last night, though, wasn't he?
Yeah. Well, they might still bring it back.
I'm not going to do them, but I had a few more, which included Tori Andre Flo.
I would have got that one.
Stuart Parnaby.
I would have got that one.
Keith Millen. Darren Huckabee. Scalacci. And Claudio Caniggia were my...
How long do you think this show is? 2 hours wouldn't be enough just for that.
I think it's fair to say that Jody won that tonight.
Yeah, donned it. Absolutely rocked
Jody.
that.
Yeah.
Can you start doing ones that are from more of our era? You always do ones that are from like way before we were born. They're coming to the end of their careers like 2 years after I'm born.
How old do you think I am? That's just your knowledge. You just have that level of knowledge.
You look good for your age.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Let's move on the show. We're going to do Super Sub now. We'd like to welcome Jake Hutchins onto the show. A very good evening to you, Jake.
Hiya, how are you?
Yeah, I'm really good, thank you. Let's talk about your season before we get into Super Sub. How's it been?
On a personal note, not such a great one. Started the season okay, and then unfortunately suffered with an ACL injury. So ruled me out for the rest of this season. But stayed around with the boys, and obviously the gaffer kept me well involved. So it's been good. Been learning the manager side of things.
And have you got any? He's not listening. Have you got any words about the gaffer?
You know what? He'll be watching it back, so it's got to be all positive.
You be careful what you say, Jake.
Is there a great belief, Jake, that next season bigger and better things?
Yeah, definitely. I think this year it's been a bit of a roller coaster ride for us, but I think next year we've got a great spine in the team, and with a couple of additions to the team next year, I think we can really push on.
As a player, when we're coming to the end of the season tonight, we talked a lot about the playoffs and the excitement at the top and those games that are to come. Do you watch and you obviously know other players in other teams? Does it really whet your appetite as a player to really strive to do better?
100%. You have non-league. It's like a small place. You come across a lot of the same players week in, week out. Make a lot of friends in it. So. When you see your mates in the playoffs, it just makes you want to strive for that. And obviously, personally, you want to be successful. So I think the playoffs and getting promotion for every player at the beginning of every year is something they would strive for.
You've got a chance tonight to end the season with glory in a Super Sub. What's the time we've got to beat tonight? 32 seconds if you want to be top of the leaderboard. The rules are really simple. All you've got to do is give me an incorrect answer. So substitute a correct answer for an incorrect answer. It sounds really easy. You confident?
No, I'll give it a go.
Okay, let's put the drone on and get you ready to go, and we'll start the clock. Right, we will start the clock for you now. Name a Premier League side who do not play in London.
Southampton.
I need another.
Tottenham.
Correct. According to Liverpool song, You'll Never Walk
Beyond.
Name a Premier League side who do not play in a red home kit.
Man United.
What does VAR stand for?
Visual Alliance Recording.
Goodison Park is located in which English city?
Could you repeat the question? I didn't hear you.
Goodison Park is located in which English city?
London.
What does the FA in FA Cup stand for?
Funny assignment.
Name a Premier League side who play in Manchester.
Liverpool.
What are West Ham's fans forever blowing?
Toilets.
Which airline sponsor the Arsenal Stadium?
Ryanair.
Complete the Premier League manager's name. Jurgen.
Pochettino.
And stop the clock right there. Thank you for keeping the question about West Ham fans clean. That's always good. Not quite past the watershed. How do you think you got on?
Average one through me early on. Middle of the road, I reckon.
Let's put it over to your gaffer to analyse your performance.
Very inconsistent, Jake. A little bit like the back players. What was worrying me is the first question was about London clubs, and you support Tottenham, and you still managed to get that one wrong.
There
we go. What can I say? Not the brightest spot.
It was definitely a difficult question, that first one, the way it was worded. So let's have a look at your answer. So name a Premier League side who do not play in London. Obviously, a little bit tongue-in-cheek. So you eventually went for Tottenham. What are West Ham fans forever blowing? You paused for a moment there and eventually said toilets. Also, what does the FA and FA Cup stand for? Always one that on your tip of your tongue is something perhaps not you can say on radio. Funny assignment you went for. Visual Alliance Recording for VAR. So it's like you planned that answer.
Yeah.
It's like you put a lot of thought into that. Okay, so you are in the top 5. But unfortunately, you're in the top 5 of the championship, which
that's all right.
Which means
it's a playoff. That's what I was
it is a playoff.
For.
That's it. 1 minute and 13 seconds. There's only 3 players below you, but take a note that there are 3 players below you, so that's all right. One of them is one of Jodie's players, Jack, who I think will forever be on the bottom of this league.
I don't think it helped, Jake, when you said, "Can you repeat the question?" By the way.
I think you know what, you're not bottom. That's what you've got to go to bed with tonight, knowing that you're 5th in the championship. Just dream about those playoffs. It's a theme tonight. Listen, Jake, thanks ever so much for coming on, and
no worries.
Best of luck with the recovery.
Cheers, thanks a lot.
Brilliant, Jake Hutchins, of course, with Merstham, and always difficult when you go out of an injury. You've seen it with Charlie Penny, who's only just come back, and in non-league, is the correct support there for players to come back?
Probably not. The difficulty with non-league football clubs is obviously they're restricted financially, they're restricted what they can offer in terms of rehabilitation. But with Jake and with Charlie, they both come from professional backgrounds, and so I think their rehab has been strong. They've given themselves the best possible opportunity. And both personally and as a club, we've tried to stand by them to make sure that they don't feel alone in the journey, because it's a long journey, and they both know they're valued, and we want them to play a big part in our future.
And Curtis, you played this and you had a forfeit to do. Have you done that forfeit yet?
No, I still haven't had an opportunity to do it because don't worry, we'll get it done.
Bottled it.
Wait until the last couple of training sessions of the season. I'll make sure I'll get it in. In fact, if I don't do it by the last session of the season, I'll do double.
Bold.
Right, let's move on with a few topics between now and the end of the show. Next up, referees this season. We're going to have a whole show on this, but right now I'm going to give you 2 minutes to talk about it. Hayden, you kick us off. Consistency of referees, let's rephrase it.
The only consistency... Is it not 2 minutes just for me? Because I could go on for about 20 minutes about these people, make my life miserable every Saturday. The only consistency with the referees is in their inconsistency. I don't expect the referees to get every decision right. I expect them to get the big decisions right, which will determine the game. No one's questioning the fact that their job is very difficult. No one's questioning that, I personally wouldn't want to be a referee. But we're at a stage now where they are demanding respect from the managers, the players and the coaches, and quite frankly, the respect that they are giving the managers, the coaches and the players is very disappointing. As an example, I had a linesman only a couple of weeks ago. With 10 minutes to go, I asked him how long. He's standing next to me, just ignores you. If the referees, sometimes they admit that they get it wrong. I had a referee a little while ago. I questioned the decision. He held his hands up. He said, "I thought I got it wrong." It's fine. I can cope with that. But the arrogance of some of these people is frightening, and I honestly think that the standard of refereeing is deteriorating every year. So I look forward to meeting everybody on the panel next week. Over to you, Darren.
Maybe we'll just play that clip on our referee special on the 30th of May. Any views to add there?
Oh, God, where do I start? Am I allowed to say they're appalling?
Say whatever you want on this show, yeah?
For me, they're just not good enough. Had a referee Saturday, boiling hot. I offered him some sun cream. I can't tell you what he told me to do. And I'm not joking.
Wow.
But in all fairness to him, pulled me in at half time and did apologise to me because he said, I thought you was taking the Michael. And I weren't. They're just unbelievable. Should have had a penalty. Linesman asked the linesman straight away. I'm not bothered, was the answer I got back. Just unacceptable.
And I'm not sticking up for referees here just because I've got to sit here on the 30th, but I'm gonna play devil's advocate, and I'm not saying there's excuses for all the bad decisions, but I've been at a couple of games recently, and I know you see this everywhere across the leagues, where referees' decisions have been made so much more difficult because of the actions and the way that players speak to them. And certainly there's been a couple of challenges that we've witnessed, and the whole teams have been around the referee, almost trying to get players sent off. Is there not some conduct that the players need to look at, as well as the referees? Perhaps we can discuss how they can improve, but do the players need to look at themselves a little bit as well, and the way they respect the officials?
Well, I've got an interesting answer for this. We had a player got elbowed off the ball in the face, in line with my technical area, and the linesman was next to me. And I said to the linesman, you saw that, didn't you? It's right in front of you. He went, yeah, I saw it. I said, well, put your flag up then. He's been elbowed to the floor. No, I'm only giving throw-ins and offsides. Yeah, but you've seen it. You're an assistant. It's violent conduct. No, I'm not doing it. So I said, well, if you see an infringement, definitely violent conduct, then, and you don't give it, to me, that's cheating. So what do you think the outcome was? I got a red card. So I got a red card. The referee then saw the video footage back 3 or 4 days later, contacted our club secretary and asked for my phone number, rang me up, apologised, said that I realised you only made the comments you made because it was such an obvious act of violent conduct, I'm sorry. And I said, well, does that mean my red card goes? No, sorry, I can't do that. Can you write me a letter of mitigation? No, I can't do that. £250 fine, 2-game stadium ban, as though I've murdered someone or stabbed someone.
That's a joke.
2-game stadium ban and a 1-game touchline ban. I haven't been sent off in 7 years, so my previous record was very good. That's how hard they come down on you for a slip of the tongue. Now, the reason I answer your question is because off the record, the referee said to me that had my players crowded him, run straight over and crowded him, he would have reacted by red carding their player because he would have assumed something happened. So I said, so because my players didn't crowd you, none of you took action, you used it. So on one hand, really I should be complimented that my players control themselves. On the other hand, I'm getting a stadium ban and a £250 fine because they didn't crowd you.
Punished for controlling your players.
Maybe we should have a panel one side of managers on the 30th and a panel one side of referees.
And some security as well.
But it's week in, week out. It is
really bad. I'm not sure they know the laws. And when they say to you, someone who's worked in the game at all levels their whole working life, they tell you that you don't know the laws, I think that's really arrogant, really ignorant, and I don't think they should say it. We do know the laws, and we probably know how to apply the laws better than they do, to be honest. And I think what Hayden said about the lack of respect they give back to you, the way they speak to you, and what I've just heard from Darren is ridiculous. You offer some sun cream and you get an insult back. It's beyond a joke, and someone needs to get hold of it, because some of them, I'm not ageist, but you get like a 17, 18-year-old boy literally telling you to sling your hook. They don't have any respect for you. You get hands in your face, telling you, shut up, go away, look after your own players, concentrate on your own team's performance, you're not good enough as a coach. I had one the other day say to me that I should do the refereeing badges, and I said, well, how do you know I haven't done the referee badges? And he said, well, I just assume you haven't. I said, no, I've chosen to coach, it's not my fault. You can't coach, so you've chosen to be a referee. And he said, well, look at the level you're at. I said, well, you're at the same level as me, mate. And this was an ongoing debate with a linesman, a step 4 linesman. I just don't know who they think they are, and I don't care how many are listening, because I say it to them.
Can I just say as well, I'm being serious. All they're bothered about, they'd say, oh, there's 3 of you standing. Can one of you sit down? Like, it's just unreal. That's all they're bothered about. They come over, there's 3 of you standing, only 2 standing, and you know they need to concentrate on the game. But for me, it was a big game for us Saturday, and there was, without a shadow of a doubt, we should have had 3 penalties. Maybe one was dubious, and you know we lost fair and square, but we didn't get given them. And photographic evidence we've got, it's in the box. But what can you do? You know, he was out of his depth Saturday. The ref.
Is it the case that the standard of refereeing has got worse as the pace of the game across all levels has got quicker? And is that therefore, are we not equipping the referees to do? They're on a no-win. They can't do this job. But at all levels of the game, from the Premier League downwards, it's too quick, it's too fast. There's too many things going on. Is that the case?
I think that they're struggling to get referees. So the better referees get pushed up higher, quicker. They're not learning their trade. That's my opinion. You know, they're not doing 50, 60, 100 games in Ryman South, learning their trade. 5 good games, 5 good scores, they're up managing Conference South. And you're getting the part referees. It is, and you think I'm exaggerating, it is really like that.
Yeah. Just get the point that you make as well, Ben, that when years ago this was started to be debated whether, because the pace of the game was too quick for the referees, there should be a referee in both half of the field. How horrific would that be? There'd be 2 of them. that is my worst nightmare. There's not 1 referee, now there's now 2 nutcases in the middle of the pitch ruining my Saturday.
I just think they try too hard. They try too hard to be clever. I think if they just used common sense, like forget swallowing the book with all the laws in it, just use common sense. Like, if someone gets tripped in the box, it's a penalty. Like, at our level, I mean, we've had players booked for diving this year, and how many replays do you have to watch to see if a Premier League player dives? Yet you've got this bloke in the wrong half of the pitch when your boys clean through saying that he's dived and there's no contact. I just think, just go with players' body language, make the obvious decision, and you won't get much argument from managers. But when you try and be clever, super clever, people are just going to go, oh, there's no common sense in that decision. And Darren's right, it's every single game. And it's not just when you're emotionally attached to it. You go to watch like a future opponent or whatever, and you're watching, you're not emotionally attached, and you're thinking, what has the referee done there? What has the referee done there?
I'm a fan, and I agree that the standard's dropped. I've been watching this level for about 10 years.
I've won more games than we've lost, and I've still gone up to the referee and I've told him how I feel, because at the end of the day, I always look at myself after a game, what I could have done, etc. Don't think they look at themselves. They're not learning. You know, they're not learning by their mistakes. Honestly, some of them are woeful.
Well, isn't it a problem that the assessor is a former referee? I think that's a problem. They just back one another. It's ridiculous. Sometimes something so obvious. I'm not stupid. I know they're wrong, and all of them stand there and back each other. And I just think you just make yourself look stupid.
What was really, I always like to back this up with some facts, and I think it's probably still erring on the side of opinion. But we covered a game in the Bostik North, and we've got the clip that we put out before. We had a vote on it, and it was of a player who didn't get a decision, who had his arms up in the air, went past the referee, and knocked into the referee, and the referee sent him off, even though the referee was facing the other way. And I spoke to a lot of referees about this decision, and every single one of the referees said they would have sent him off.
And every single one was wrong.
And every single player and manager he spoke to said that that's never intentional and it wasn't a sending off. And actually the red card from our video evidence was rescinded.
Yeah, no, I saw it. Jamie Dix for Bowers and Pitsy, weren't it? It was intentional. He did touch the referee intentionally, but because the referee was in his way. It wasn't aggressive, it wasn't malicious. He just had to run through the referee. He had to put his arm on him. But the referees they're like protected species, aren't they? You can't say anything to them. God help you if you touch one. Honestly, it's ridiculous.
Almost.
They actually, I definitely get me on the referee show. They actually get paid more than most of my players as well. You know, they get decent money for that 90 minutes that they turn up and ruin.
So 30th of May, you're on with Hayden then, and Darren, feel free to come in. It's going to be we'll have to extend the studio.
I think we should get the referee who reffed at Faversham with the sun cream on as well.
I think what we need to do is book a small village hall, perhaps. Perhaps we can have an audience for this one. It'll be really interesting.
Add some stocks as well.
Yeah. It reminded me, you just said about referees being protected almost as much as goalkeepers. I can't remember which game it was, but that was another topic I had down. I had many, but we've reached the end of the show because we talked too much about referees. We've got a specialist show on the 30th, which is going to be really interesting. We've got people on the referee side. We'll have managers in as well, I believe. We will now.
And some security.
And probably. But what it will be is be a really interesting debate, and we'll keep it amicable, and we'll have an agenda, and we'll go through, and it will be one not to be missed on the 30th of May. Thank you ever so much for coming in tonight. It's been a really interesting show. Best of luck, of course, for your game, Darren, for the title at the weekend. How exciting is that? And Jodie, we wish you the best of luck. Maybe automatic promotion. Maybe we'll see you in the playoffs.
Thanks a lot.
Hayden, thanks for coming on. We'll see you on the referee show.
I look forward to that.
And obviously, best of luck for your game at the weekend. Curtis, thank you ever so much as well. Brilliant stuff with Worthing Ladies this year. Just final thing for you. Are you staying on? Are you going to be there for next season?
It's something that's been in discussion, but where I currently stand with it at the moment, and I've been honest with the club, is that I would like to see more support and everyone come together to actually push it a little bit more. For example, a club like Lewis, if we're going to do it, let's do it properly.
Brilliant. Well, we wish you every success with that, and I'm sure we'll speak to you again in the future. James, Adam, Remy and Luke, thanks very much to the team. Well, the Bostik League show at the weekend is going to be an interesting one. It's the final weekend of the league season. Plenty to play for at the top and bottom of the table. And, of course, all the action will be on the Bostik League show on Sunday from 10 o'clock and live commentary through backofthenetsouth.co.uk of every single one of the playoff games, all the semi-finals and the finals, and we'll be reacting to all of it on social media and in the Bostik League show as well. Plenty to come, and it all finishes on the 30th of May with a referee special. You don't want to miss that. Thanks for your company tonight, and we'll see you next time.